Space is one of the biggest problems in my life, especially audio and lighting. Like, I definitely have a pretty bad case of gear acquisition syndrome, and my house is like full to the brim with gear. So my first project, get all that stuff out of there and put it in a big room. Hi, I'm Zachary Lee. I'm an artist from Lowell, Massachusetts. I work in the mediums of audio and film, and I'm a musician. I've spent a lot of my life learning and performing music and doing studio audio. But as far as, where does my paycheck come from? I do film lighting like, most of the year. My first job doing electrics was, I was taken under the wing of this crew doing I Care a Lot, which is out on Netflix. That was a real fun one. I've been working a lot with that crew. I've also did a couple this year. I'm not sure exactly what I can say about them, but I think they're potentially trying to bait for an Oscar. They got that, sort of ineffable thing about them, the je ne sais quoi. It's been really good to be able to work on those kinds of things. 2021, I worked on the Julia Child show, Julia, on HBO. That was a great time. They actually just wrapped up season 2, I think. That was a lot of fun. I actually had an on-screen appearance, which was wild. I actually had 2, but the second time they cut my head off. They're just like, we've seen too much. But no, it's been, I've worked on a lot of really fun stuff, and it's been, sort of like a whirlwind. I haven't really taken a break or settled down at any point during it, so I'm sort of just riding out the steam. There's a lot of things I've worked on that I haven't watched. There's a lot of things I've worked on that were big movies, but big movies aren't usually going for awards. They're usually going for box office sales. I think some of the stuff I've worked on this year might be looking towards the Academy and trying to get some awards coming their way, but only time will tell. Recently, the government extended the tax credit indefinitely, and I think that should have some really good effects in terms of bringing people to Massachusetts to film. I think the one thing we need at this point is more people. So if anybody is looking for something fresh and new and, not an office job or something like that, should look into working in film. We need it in Massachusetts. We've got a pretty big volume of stuff coming in, and only so many people to fill those roles. Other than that, I really do like it. I wish there's a little less snow, which I'm guessing is why they film a lot of movies in California. But a little less snow would be nice. That's my only real complaint. The better jobs are generally union jobs, not to mention, at least with what I do, working in the studio mechanics craft, there is sort of you can openly work any job, non-union or union, as long as you keep the office informed about what you're doing. That's huge. I think that why limit yourself to one set of jobs when you could have all of the jobs available to you? So I would say it's not a requirement, but it's certainly worth doing if somebody is getting into film, is looking into the union aspect of it. So there's, the collective bargaining. You never have to go in and bargain your own contract. That's all taken, or at least minimums are taken care of on a national scale or a regional scale. And health benefits and pension, stuff like that. There's just not a whole lot of downside, if that makes sense. I guess that's not really an upside, but it consumes not a ton of my, thinking for the day. I pretty much pay, whatever the dues are for the quarter, which is very reasonable. And then I only think about it when a meeting comes up once a quarter or when I'm, there's some big news, but it's sort of just these people that, help you out and you help them out, and that's about it. It's not really a daily presence, so to speak. There's so much you can just learn from watching how other people have worked and how other people have created. I also think that getting out and doing what you can is great, but I also understand that, as we discussed earlier, like it takes a lot of people to really make a movie, and if you're trying to do things on your own, it can be tough. I think anybody who's got a new camera can attest to the fact that you can only do so much of pointing it at like a Coke can or something or a flower. Like at a certain point, you're gonna need at least one other person to film, and then eventually you're gonna want somebody to set up a light, and turns into like a stone soup situation. Music, it's meant to give you like an emotional response without like just having somebody come on the mic and say like start crying or something along those lines. And I think film is largely the same. You have a little bit more to work with in some senses, a little bit less to work with in other senses. There's usually a sort of realism you need to capture that can be a little more limiting than music, but you also gain the whole visual element. You still have the audio element to work with. I think there is a lot in common for sure, and I think that's partially why I've been able to sort of live in both worlds. So I play the electric bass and I sing. I do the vocals. Sort of like a alternative rock band. We've been playing for 10 years now, actually. We started in September 2012. We've had our ups and downs. There were moments early on where we had some real steam and we were doing our thing. And now I think we're trying to like sort of revive the band a little, bring it back from the dead. I mean, COVID obviously took a huge toll on the availability of being able to play out and write music together and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to maybe putting a little more of my time and effort into really, launching a career, hopefully. We have recorded music out, so I've actually been going back and sort of modifying our canon as time goes on. We've released quite a bit of music over the years, but there were a few that I feel like really exemplify our sound and our general mission with the band, and so I've made sure that those are more accessible than some of our other recorded material. But our last album actually is going on 4 years old, I think. It's called 9. It's available, anywhere you stream, Bandcamp. We have records and whatnot. And we have a new album in the works called Deep Dream, about 8 songs of new music, so I'm excited to get the ball rolling on that. Our guitarist Rudy actually still lives in Syracuse, where I grew up, and he's been with it since day one. He's been with it since before day one. Like, we've been playing music together since, I don't know, maybe like 10th grade or something like that. But our drummer Stu, I met real early on in college, probably 2012 or something like that. And Faye, our other guitarist, I met like pretty much first week of school. So I've known them for a long time. We've had some changes in membership, but usually just people who, life took them somewhere and they had to go. So. We're around enough. It's not like we're, in different countries or something. Drummer and guitarist both live in the state. Unfortunately, Rudy is still in Syracuse. It's tough, It really does take a bit of a toll on being able to get together and practice and write and whatnot. But I understand it. He's got a pretty strong family ethic, and he's also currently working on a degree in physical therapy. So, more power to him. I'm happy that he's getting where he wants to go, and I guess we'll just kind of take it day by day. I have like some of the lowest output of any of my fellow musicians that I know. I'm a bit of a perfectionist for sure. I also handle a lot of it myself, just because I am, what do they say, my best friend and my greatest critic or something. I can definitely work with myself very efficiently and get stuff done, but it's a matter of agreeing that I've gone the right direction with it. And in terms of specific musical aspects, I draw from other things. When I draw, I try to make sure that I'm, paying homage more than just sort of biting somebody else's style. But it's, sometimes there's only so many notes you can play, at least in Western music. But I try to keep my listening fresh, and I think that helps keep my own music fresh. And I kind of welcome anything into my melting pot, so to speak. And I want everything to kind of sound like unified, but also I don't want to fall into a rut, so to speak. So I've been listening to a lot of hip hop and R&B recently. The three records I've been really hitting hard in the car are Elephant in the Room, Mick Jenkins, 2000 by Joey Badass, and Drones by Terrence Martin. Other than that, I've been, I don't even know if I have like any like heroes like that per se. I mean, like I said, I try to get around a little bit and not fall too much into a rut of like a single artist, and like really sort of let it happen naturally in terms of where it influences me. I wish I could comment more on it at the moment. I mean, I was sort of here during like the tail end of the basement golden age. That was where we were seeing most of the bands around here were in basements, bars, art galleries. I think things have changed, and I can't say for certain because I've been very busy. But I think things are a little different now, but hopefully only going in the right direction. I mean, I think Lowell has changed quite a bit. I mean, even just like topologically speaking or topographically speaking. But I just love to see people continue to put a focus on art. And it's just hard sometimes going to these other surrounding cities and they have maybe just like better infrastructure for art and things like this. But also, there's less general interest in it because Lowell is pretty unique in the sense of like we have a pretty high interest in the arts per capita compared to some other places, and it'd be nice to see more get pumped into that arena. Like, I think you guys are doing a great job here. I think the new music venues popping up is excellent. I think, it'd be nice to see some of the galleries sort of start to expand again. Theater, whatever it may be, I think that it would be a good place to potentially put some money. I think we can take a break on the construction. I think we've been going pretty hard for like 6 years easily of just nonstop road work. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see where it goes. I think that Lowell will find its own way. I don't know that I can give it any better tips than it already has. So